Welcome to the City Bowie regular council meeting for Monday, March 2nd. I'd like to begin, as we usually do, with requesting all who are able to please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty, let's take a look at tonight's agenda. Let's see, we have a quorum already established present here. Additions, deletions, and amendments. I am aware of one amendment. It's actually a deletion, which is under new business. And that's going to be item number C under new business, Washington Gas. For those who are watching at home and who are here this evening with us, we had asked Washington Gas to provide a briefing, an operational briefing on the infrastructure and updates associated with gas service in our city. And they are reported they were going to be here this evening, and unfortunately they had some emergencies, and the folks who were going to be presenting were unavailable to attend tonight. So they will be rescheduling for some time, either the next meeting or the one following. So those of you who are on the edge of your seats looking for that, you'll have to wait for the next meeting or the one thereafter. Do we have any other additions, deletions, or amendments to today's agenda? Seeing none online, none here. All right, then we'll move along. Citizen participation. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody signed up this evening for citizen participation?
No, Acting Mayor, we do not have anyone signed up for this evening. Excellent,
thank you kindly. Just a reminder to folks, if you are interested in coming in and have something weighing heavily on your mind, you're free to do. Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
But wait, there's more. Hold on. We do have somebody who would like to speak this evening. I'll just, while someone is, our speaker is signing up, I will just remind folks that if anybody does wish to come in, we do provide our citizens an opportunity to come into City Hall at our meetings. It's a 5-minute time limit. It's not a dialogue back and forth, not a chit-chat with the council, but it is an opportunity for you to raise issues, questions, concerns that you might have regarding the city. So we do have a speaker for this evening, and she's going to get that. Okay, very good. All right. All right, so for this evening, we're going to welcome Margaret Gooden from Midsummer Lane. Thank you very much. Hilltop Project. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Margaret Gooden, and I'm here because I received a letter in the mail from my HOA about the Hilltop construction project that's getting ready to take place, or they would like to propose. And I am very, very unhappy, very concerned, not only for me and my neighbors and my community, but for Bowie in general. And one of the major things I'm thinking about for our community is our infrastructure. I live near Marquette. That's how I get to Racetrack Road. When I go to work, I need to take 450 down to Route 3 to get on to, 450 to 3 and then to 50 to get to work. Most of the days of the week, it is pretty congested because we have Bowie State. They need to get along Racetrack Road. And then, of course, we have people on 450. They need to get to 3, or they're going over to the Bowie High School or other places. And I'm also concerned, too, about 197 because that is one of our major roads between Laurel and Bowie, getting to either the Baltimore-Washington Parkway as well as to Route 50. If we have additional houses in our area, that means additional traffic. And right now, traffic is tight to begin with. I'm also concerned about the construction crews that are going to be coming. We're going to have a lot of large machinery, usually during the day, that's going to take up space on the roads. It's going to be loud and disruptive as well. We may have people that are either seniors, we may have people that either work at night. They're going to have to listen to construction all day long. And as for people trying to get to work, to school, that's right, we have children going to school, and we have those churches also along Racetrack Road. All of these people need to be able to go where they need to go, and we cannot have traffic being tied up. On Sundays, as an example, if I don't leave my house before maybe 10:15, we have several churches on Racetrack Road. We have police directing traffic. I'm not sure if they're directing traffic on 450 over where the Catholic Church is, but they might also be as well because of Cornerstone and then Sacred Heart. But then, of course, we also have Grace Baptist for Racetrack Road. But that's just the Sunday issue. And then Monday through Friday, we have people traveling. Have we thought about the people that are in Crofton and Gambrills that need to come down Route 3 to 450 to continue on to Route 50? We're going to have a lot of extra traffic. That means a lot more people being stuck in traffic, and our commute times are going to be extended. That's not a good thing for me. I don't think it's a good thing for Bowie or for our surrounding counties as well. Also related to this, I'm also concerned about the environmental impact. By having the construction, we're going to have to tear down the trees. By tearing down all the trees or tearing down the trees for the project, that could lead to soil erosion. That can lead to problems with people having flooding in their homes if we have a bad rain, or if we have snow and then we have it melting. We also have animals that live in the parks, but I guess that may not be really taken care of. We also, I found out, we have people actually living in tents in some of that area that you plan to, or Hilltop plans to have the construction project in. So a lot of people are going to be inconvenienced. They're talking about extending the parking lot as well for Hilltop. The parking lot, especially the back part, isn't full anyway. When I go from my house, sometimes I'll walk up to the Hilltop because it's quicker to walk down the courtyard and up the steps than it is to get in my car on Midsummer, which is a dead-end road, come around to Marquette, wait for a light, and then try to, go up to the shopping center. I can just easily walk and get a few items and come back. But I don't think it's going to be a good thing for us if we have major disruptions like that for Bowie. And I feel that for the people of Bowie, they need to be given a copy of the letter and the paperwork that I was given by my HOA. I also feel that people need to be told about the meeting that's coming up March 18th, supposedly at Bowie High School Library. I think they need to know about that as well. Just as an example, I spoke with a few people just briefly a couple days ago at the grocery store, Harris Teeter. One lady told me she's over on Outerwood. Saw the sign, but it's hard to see if you're driving, up to 450, because it's only on one side of the road, and she wasn't sure what it was about. But the people at the grocery store out in the parking lot have no clue. And the people live in this general vicinity. They're going to be impacted. And I think it's totally unfair if people don't know. I feel that all of Bowie needs to know about this, and that's why I came today.
Well, thank you
All
for
right?
being here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, actually, and thank you very much for being here this evening, and appreciate you bringing that to everybody's attention as well. So, thank you.
I have a copy of what I got in the mail. If you need a copy for the council here, you can make your own copies, but I did bring one.
Excellent, thank you. If you could leave that with the city clerk, that would be most appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you kindly. And that is all we have for public comment this evening. Next item up after citizen participation is presentations, and I believe we have nothing on the agenda in that category as well. Is that correct, Madam City Clerk?
Yes,
Very
sir.
good. City boards and committees, I think, falls in the same category. And now we'll wend our way through the agenda to cover council announcements. We'll start with those here in chambers. We'll start over here to my left. Roxy, do you have anything? Nope, good. Over to my right. How about online?
No. Nothing.
All right, thank you. And I do actually want to say thank you for Ms. Gooden coming in here this evening, because that is something that is difficult for people to become aware of. We have busy lives. We're busy driving past these potential development sites, and there's a sign there. We may not notice them. So thank you very much. And please, if you live in those neighborhoods, reach out to, or actually attend the meeting. And you can reach out to both your county council representatives as well as to us here individually with your thoughts and opinions on the matter. So very much appreciate it. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And let's see here. So now after council announcements, the city manager's report. Welcome, Mr. Mears. What do you have for us this evening?
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Daniel Mears, Acting City Manager, and just a couple updates for the community. Last week, I had the opportunity to attend the Bowie VFW Post 8065 Annual Award Ceremony. They gave out a number of awards to people in the community, from our youth to educators to people in the public safety professions. It was a very good event, and was there to attend along with some council and members of our staff to recognize two of Bowie's own employees. In our Public Works Department, Tyler Buchanan was recognized, and in our police department, Ryan Shiflett was recognized. So they put on a nice event, and we're glad to see the recognition of our employees who work very hard for us here. Coming up this week on Wednesday, our Education Committee is putting on their Bowie Speaks series. They have an item focusing on the fostering a safe and supportive school environment, and there's going to be a representative, Robin Brown, from the Prince George's County Public School that is engaged in that. I encourage anyone interested to check out the City of Bowie website associated at www.cityofbowie.org for more information. And of course, this Saturday, we're going to have Kitty Hall. It is a pet adoption event. This is very well attended at City Hall, and that starts at noon on Saturday, and hope folks come out and check out the felines available. That's all I have for you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Very much appreciate the input. Any thoughts, questions from the board here? Seeing none, we'll move on to our next item, which is the consent agenda. Is there a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
Mr. Acting Mayor, I'd like to move to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, seconded. We have a motion to approve in a second. All those in favor, please reply with an aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Now we will turn to old business. The first item and the only item on old business agenda is adoption of amended ordinance 0-2-26, amending the Bowie City Code, Chapter 6, elections, to remove supplemental registration provisions and to clarify that registration shall be in accordance with state law, to prohibit write-in candidates, and to generally clarify election processes and procedures in the city. This is a public hearing, and it's eligible for action. I know that we as a group had some questions, and we're looking to staff to provide us some insight as to your learnings from the research since the time we last discussed. So I'll turn this over to you.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Wolfley. So again, just a quick recap, this ordinance 0226 updates the City Code Chapter 6 elections, and is to align with the charter changes that were adopted by council in January. Last council meeting, it was presented for you, and there were comments from council on some items that you would like more clarification on, and city attorney has worked on those alongside with me, and I'll let her summarize some of the recommendations.
Excellent, thank you. Madam City Attorney.
Good evening, everyone. One of the sections of the code that was called into question was section 675, election reports to be filed by treasurer. subsection B in particular, and the last sentence thereof, which says, "Any unpaid debts reflected in the final campaign report shall be deemed a contribution and therefore subject to the limitation of contributions prescribed in 673." So the council is free to strike that sentence because we understand the concern that if you convert the unpaid debt into a contribution, that would inadvertently possibly create another violation of the city code. And I believe in doing a little bit of research that that provision was added in 2008 when the city had created a task force and they made certain recommendations. And I believe it was just seen as a possible incentive to have everything done in a timely fashion. But there's no requirement that you handle it as a contribution, nor is there any prohibition in you retaining that language. It's really a matter of policy for the city council to determine. The other provision that was questioned was the write-in candidate provisions. And there's two ways that you see write-in provisions addressed throughout a canvas of how other jurisdictions handle it as well. One is to allow for the write-in ballots of anybody who would qualify to hold the office in the jurisdiction. And it would have to also have some requirements that after the fact, that the city would verify that they do in fact meet those requirements within, say, 48 hours of the election results. And then if they qualified, then they would be, and they had the majority of the votes, they would be eligible to be declared the winner, if you will, successful candidate. You also have another way to do it that requires that the write-in candidate actually file the financial disclosure statement and an application to run within X number of days prior to the election. You generally see like 5 to 7 days before the election, and then that particular candidate's name could be written in the ballot. So it depends on whether you want to limit it to somebody who actually files and wants to be a write-in candidate versus allowing people to write in whomever they want that would be qualified to serve in that position. And if somebody were to fill in the name of somebody that didn't live in the city or clearly would not be qualified, then the provision in your code would say that those would not be counted by the Board of Elections.
Excellent, thank you.
But those were the two issues, I believe, that you sought.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Since this is eligible for action, we'll move to the public hearing, and then we'll pick up on the discussion on our part here. Madam City Clerk, do we have anybody sign up for a public hearing?
Not this evening, Mayor, and no comments were received via email either.
Excellent. So we shall declare a public hearing to have been held with no participation. Thank you very much. Now I will turn over to the discussion over to my colleagues here on the council, and we'll begin, as we usually do, with folks here in chambers. This time we'll start at the other end. Anybody have any thoughts, comments, questions you want to start? I see Mr. Esteve is at the ready. Mr. Esteve.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So staff, just so I'm clear, first part, don't have any questions. Second part on the write-ins, again, I can take or leave the write-in provision. But if I'm hearing you correctly, what I'm hearing you say is that even a write-in candidate would have to go through a process to meet qualifications in order to have their name on the ballot. And because we traditionally allow candidates to file up to a month before the election, we're talking about the exact same process, but just with an additional 3 weeks, it sounds like.
So let me say, if you had the one form where you wanted a write-in candidate to actually file 5 to 7 days, let's say, prior to the election, that is one way to handle it. The other way is if people could write in whomever they wanted to write in, who was a resident of the city and met the other qualifications in the charter, still, once the election was over, if that, the people whose names were written in would have to be verified as qualifying for the position that they had been written in for.
Gotcha. So let's say hypothetically, a bunch of people write in a candidate, they win, but then after the election, it turns out they don't actually live in the city or don't meet one of the other requirements, then we have to go do this all over again.
Correct.
Okay. I'll reiterate kind of what I said before, which is that Bowie makes ballot access about as easy as any place. We don't require petition signatures. If you've got $25 and can swing by City Hall for 10 minutes, you can run for just about anything in Bowie if you're over the age of 18. We're nonpartisan, we don't have primaries. It's about as accessible as it comes. Past elections, we've had upwards of 30 candidates running for 7 seats. I don't particularly see a crisis of democracy here. If we say the write-in provision is redundant, that's my personal view on this. Madam City Clerk, does the Board of Elections have a recommendation on this one way or the other?
Their original recommendation that presented to council back in July of last year was to remove the write-in.
Okay, so the Board of Election also wants to remove the write-in provision. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilwoman Rogers.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Wolfley. So just a couple, just basic questions so I understand the logic behind this. So when we talk about write-in candidates filing 5 to 7 days prior to the election, there's an assumption that they have already been written in by voters. Am I missing something?
If they're required to file 5 to 7 days prior to the election, it is more, you haven't had the election yet, right?
Right.
So I think what you're really talking about is those people have decided to do a write-in campaign, so to speak. So as opposed to me deciding I'm going to go in and fill in somebody's name, I know that there's a candidate out there that has filed who is trying to gain support and be elected.
Okay, all right. Thank you, that's great clarification. So I kind of defer back to what Councilmember Esteve said. If that's the case, people have a period of time to file and pay their $25. It's not a petition thing that has to happen. Now, with removing that, so if we remove the write-in, I understand that it does not impact severely democracy, but obviously there was a thought process in place when voting occurred to provide as much flexibility to your voters as possible, or to the residents, so that you do have an opportunity to write in someone that you want to win. I understand the problem that's trying to be solved because people can just write in anybody, and so they don't take the process seriously. I know that happens on all levels of voting. So if you remove the write-in, then the opportunity to exercise that aspect of voting is basically taken away. Is that what I'm understanding?
Not for the people to vote. If you're saying that someone could write their name in, they could, if they just go up to the poll, or they could follow what Attorney Ruff just stated, that they fill out the documents 5, 7 days prior to it. It doesn't stop anybody from voting. I mean, they could come in and vote and not put a name if they don't want to.
Okay, but they can come in and put a name in if they want to. No.
Well, if we strike off the write-ins, there won't be a space for them to write in a person's name. If we leave that, then they could put any person's name
Right,
that
right.
they want to on there.
Right.
It's just a matter of then the board having to trace all the names, see the numbers, and then if they do, for some reason, have enough of the votes, then we just got to go and find who that person is.
Right. So
Because there's no place to put an address, a
Right.
phone number, or an email to contact them. And if it's a common name, then the board just has to go down the list of whatever that person's name that lives in the city and verify if that's the person. And we won't have any knowledge of who it is.
Right, so it's an administrative burden and a nightmare, so I understand that aspect of it. I don't miss that. And is this, what the board has directed, is this a best practice that other municipalities use?
A lot of municipalities are taking away the write-in aspect just because of that, especially the larger ones. The smaller ones, they have the provisions of that if someone files, they would have to fill out still all the required paperwork within the 5 to 7 days. The larger municipalities, like our size, or even, I believe Hyattsville and Greenbelt, which are like in the 20,000 registered voters, they've started taking it off. So as an example, in the 2019 election, we had only 43 write-ins, and in the 2023, we had 63 write-ins. So it's not a large number, but it is just one more aspects of, the board having to verify.
Thank you, so you clarified it for me, so I understand the recommendation, and I support it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rogers. Councilwoman Debamado?
Thank you so much, Acting Mayor Wolfley. I've just got a question or suggestion around the exceeding limits with the vendor situation of the invoice. Is there a way to allow the debt to convert only after the notice period? That's a question.
So I'm looking at the provision right now, and are you referring to the 14 days that's referenced in the prior section, or the prior sentence?
Yes.
Okay, so it says it shall be the responsibility of each candidate to advise the candidate's creditors that invoices must be received by the candidate within 14 days of the election. And then that's what then goes on and basically says, and, if the filing deadline comes about and you don't have that information, it'll convert to a debt. And you're suggesting?
Is the notice period only the 14 days? I guess my question is really around extending it. Okay.
No.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. But, so the thought being that, let's say you order something from a printer and you have a rough estimate how much that's going to be. The idea is as soon as you get the product, you should be able to ask the vendor for an invoice. You don't have to wait any particular period of time to do that. You can do that when it occurs, which could be weeks before the election. And so the 14 days is in here to try to just focus, I think, people on the issue as opposed to creating a time frame.
Thank you for that clarity. I guess my concern is around knowing that oftentimes there are some vendors that just move extremely slow. And so does that create this risk where a candidate may now be over the campaign contribution limit because this debt has converted? Because a vendor maybe took 20-something days to get back to them. Like, I understand the proactive approach of making sure and letting the vendor know as soon as the items are rendered that you need the invoice, but oftentimes they sometimes just don't move that quickly. So I'm trying to get around this potential risk for a candidate where it may not be their fault and it rests with the vendor.
I think the only way around it is to probably remove that sentence.
Okay, that's a good suggestion, and I guess I would ask my colleagues if they would be open to that amendment. And then my second question is really around the write-in process. I understand where my colleagues are coming from. Can you just really, I guess, give me clarity? I know you're suggesting 2 potential models. So essentially, I guess I'm not fully understanding what is the major difference between those 2 models. You're laying out registered write-in, so the candidate must pre-file the paperwork, and I'm sure that creates this administrative clarity and it keeps things accountable and orderly. And I understand what you're trying to get around with the open write-ins. And so I'm trying to find a way at the end of the day, yes, I do believe that it is necessary to preserve democracy, and I do believe in giving constituents the agency to make their own decisions. And so if they choose to write in, that is their free will to be able to choose that. So I'm not trying to curb that entirely just on the basis of simplification or essentially cleaning up the administrative risk. So I'm trying to find a middle ground to really understand how to preserve the idea of that participation, but still support in cleaning up that what could be a chaotic process.
So if you take the one model that allows for a voter to write in a candidate of their choosing, or a person, won't even use the word candidate, because at that point, they're not a candidate. It's just somebody that person would like to identify as the next elected official, either council or mayor, right? So when you look at one of the models that's out there, it says that a voter in a city election may cast a write-in vote for, it has to be a city resident, and meet the qualifications for elective office in the charter in order to hold the office. They can write in one person's name, and only those write-in candidates who are qualified to serve for the office for which they are written in as provided in the charter are eligible to hold the office, which kind of gets to one of the issues we talked about before. And a write-in candidate who receives the highest number of votes in a general election must file the financial disclosure statement with the Ethics Commission within 48 hours of certification of the election results to the city manager. So if you have some of those parameters in your code, that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody's going to come in and vote for somebody who meets those requirements, right? The city clerk brought up a couple of good points, and that is, who is the person? They have not filed anything to be a candidate, and so how do we find that person, especially if they have a common name? How do we discern which one it is? And which one the people intended for it to be? That's one of the questions out there, which is why some of the jurisdictions do the more of a writing candidate campaign, where at least the individual has filed a few days before the election so that they know exactly who it is, and then they have, the application and the financial disclosure as well.
And for some of the jurisdictions that have done the write-in candidate campaign, can you speak a little bit more to that process? And does that essentially support the objective in which staff is trying to accomplish, or that the Board of Elections is looking to recommend?
Well, since the Board of Elections is looking to remove the write-in candidates, I don't think that furthers the board's recommendation. What it does, however, is it does address the issue that was raised about who is the person that they're voting for? How do we identify who that person is? If they're required to be a write-in candidate who has already, several days prior to the election, filed the appropriate paperwork, then it makes it a little bit easier on staff in that regard. But otherwise, I think you have the same issues.
Thank you so much. Those are all my questions. I'll just ask for the consideration for the First Amendment.
Thank you. Looking to our colleagues online, Councilman Brady?
Thank you, Acting Mayor. A couple of things. Let me start off with the issue with regard to the write-in campaigns, especially with the requirement that someone file 7 days in advance. That technically makes them a normal candidate at that point in time. So I would ask, would the rules with regard to treasurer's report then apply to them?
Councilmember Brady, probably not, because you have to file your campaign finance reports the 15th of every month. So if they file within 7 days of the election, that's past the last report that was due, they would probably, well, it depends. If we're put in that they have to file one, then they would only be filing their final one and only
Correct.
campaign finance report, either if they are a successful candidate within the 2-week time frame, or if they're unsuccessful, then they'll have the 30 days after the election to submit it.
But they would have to file a campaign report if they were a filed candidate, even though they're a write-in filed candidate?
Yes.
Okay.
If that wording isn't included in the wording with filling out the form and the financial disclosure statement also.
Okay, clarify something for me with regards to verifying the names, the names that are written in when people cast a write-in ballot. You have to verify them in order to count them, or do you have to verify them only if they have enough votes that they prevail in that race?
Only if they have enough votes to prevail in the race.
Okay, so that there's no need to, if a candidate, a filed candidate gets 2,000 votes and a write-in candidate gets 5, okay, you just tally up the 5 votes and that's it. You don't worry about who they are, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so to me, it's not a major issue with regard to that. And the big utility that I see, besides the fact that someone who may really think he can organize the write-in campaign at the last minute and prevail, the utility of a write-in vote to me has always been when you have an unopposed candidate. If you eliminate write-ins, then the only option the voter has to show discontent with the unopposed candidate is to not to vote, but that's not apparent. So to me, the ability to do a write-in allows someone, it may be a large number, not enough to defeat the person, but the ability to show a displeasure with the candidate who is unopposed. So, I'm inclined to keep it. Then with regards to the issue with the final treasurer's report and outstanding bills, is there not a way to include language that would allow for a provisionally filed treasurer's report with a certified statement that the final one is outstanding or provisional because of outstanding bills, and give them 2 weeks or 30 days to finalize that?
Still running the same problem.
That would be a slightly different schedule than you currently have and the way it's done. I don't think there's any prohibition to doing it that way. It just can't be final, shouldn't be final, until such time as you have the appropriate invoices.
And that's true. The problem that we have is the prevailing candidate, if there are outstanding bills, can't submit a final treasurer's report, which means technically he'd have to wait to be sworn in until such time that he is. But at the same time, if you know what the value is, you can do a preliminary one with a statement certified that says that the final one will be provided once the invoices are received. And it seems to me that would cover all bases.
Well, and your point to knowing the value is what I was trying to say earlier, that generally speaking, you would have an idea of what your commitment was to a particular vendor without even receiving the invoice or bill in final form. And that would allow you to move forward in some fashion.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Councilman Truesdale.
Yes, thank you, Acting Mayor. Thank you, city staff. I just wanted to chime in. The one thing about being last, I mean, you kind of hear all your answers pretty much be taken into full clarity. So just in terms of the write-in, vote, in terms of being, I concur with being consistent with the city charter and allowing candidates whose name is on the printed ballot that we ensure that we execute. I do hear some in terms of my colleagues sharing the democracy of having some of these write-in candidates off the record to be known and heard. It seemed like in 2019 we had 43 write-in candidates, and the last election, 2023, 63. It seemed like it's increasing. But just to make a long short, I definitely concur with the Board of Elections that this could definitely be a nightmare, administration nightmare. And that's all I have. No questions, but just a statement. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor.
Certainly welcome. Thank you. Just a quick follow-up. As much as anything, I want to make sure I kind of understand all of the potential scenarios here. On the first issue, we could find ourselves in a position, even with a temporary filing, that someone gets, say, a contribution, a kind, generous $3,000 or whatever it is contribution that never gets paid, or not because of the delay in the billing and what have you, we would still be in a position where the winning candidate wouldn't be able to take office, right? I mean, we require a full, completed campaign contribution reporting cycle before you can take office, correct? And that's code, right? I mean, charter.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't see how we get a get out of jail free card for that, but it's an interesting option. But we still find ourselves where you could be kind of in limbo and not who your elected officials are. I want to focus a little bit on the voting, the write-in voting. So in the current circumstance, you might have 30 or 40 people that write in, but it could be for 25 different names. I mean, we're not looking at 34 for one candidate. We're looking at 34 write-ins with about 10 or 15 different names. Presumably, some of them are Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, as well as, Fred Robinson or whoever, someone from the days of old or whatever that somebody wants to hearken back to. So the eligibility is in question. There's really not much. Our Board of Election reviews all the submissions, correct? Is 7 days enough time?
Yes, and the Ethics Commission reviews
Ethics,
the
I'm sorry, yes.
financial disclosure statements too. It could be done, but it's a quick turnaround for them.
It's a quick turn, all right. So our normal close time is 30 days?
Yes,
So you're looking at a window of really 3 weeks. Something's got to happen in 3 weeks for that to really manifest any kind of sizable number. And then on top of that, of course, there's the question of whether or not there's really just one candidate anymore. Since we've gone to 4-year election cycles, as we're seeing with the current mayoral vacancy, people come out of the woodwork as far as candidates are concerned, which I think is a good thing. I mean, I think it encourages participation. I don't see us having a shortage of people, providing choices for folks. All right, that answers my questions. I very much appreciate the input and the changes on this. And I will look for, I think, kind of summarizing, I think there is some, you have a follow-up question?
Mr. Acting Mayor, I need to better understand the revision to the amendment.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I think, to summarize where we are, staff's recommendation is to follow the recommendation of the committee, correct? Agnostic on the elimination of the language converting debts to a campaign contribution, correct? So that one is one we have to decide amongst ourselves. There's no option put forward on that. And then for the recommendation from staff is also to eliminate, it continues to be to eliminate the write-in candidates for administrative clarification and standardization. And if we choose not to follow the elimination, we have 2 options. One is that write-in candidates must participate in advance, if you will, at least 7 days before the election, participate by coming in and notifying who they are and providing the necessary materials to qualify for candidacy and for holding of the office. And the other option is to do it post-mortem, right, which is say after the election, oh, looky, we've got a winner and it's a write-in candidate. And actually, I guess this one is a little dicey because now you could have a winner. This could cause a little bit of turmoil. You could have a winner, and then it goes to the Ethics Commission for review, and the ethics people say, no, we don't like this candidate. And then you got some really upset people who say, well, they won. And now some unelected group of folks is going to disqualify them after they've won, which is different than disqualifying somebody before they run in terms of certainly perception. So anyway, all right, so I think those are the options that we have. And I'll look for folks. I think I was hearing a consensus around dropping the language on the conversion of debts to contribution. Is that bobbing heads? I'm looking here. And my colleagues, yes. Bobbing heads, indifferent, yes. Bobbing heads, okay.
Yes.
All right, so we have, so I think we have consensus on that. So we'll, whatever motion looks forward to hearing, we can incorporate that, and then we will need the motion to include one way or the other on the 3 options for the write-in votes. So motion, I see Mr. Stev is got the trigger finger going. Mr. Stev, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to adopt amended ordinance O-2-26, not including the provision on converting unpaid invoices to debt.
There. Is there a second? There's a second for that. All right. We have a proper motion, a second. Any conversations, discussions? Hearing none, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor, please respond with an aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, it's unanimous. Thank you very much, staff, for the good work you put into this. I know there was a lot of work on the front end and a lot of work in following up with this as well. So to recap where we are, thank you very much. This will help us. It won't apply to this election that is forthcoming, but I believe the active, what is it, 45 days before it takes effect?
30 days.
30 days, all right. So it will be in the subsequent election. Any subsequent elections that may or may not occur in the not too distant future will be subject to this. All right, well, thank you very much, everybody. Now we'll continue on to new business. The Prince George's County Innovation Work Group. This is a report submission and appreciation. This is something that I will turn to my colleague, Councilwoman Ndeba Madu, who has put this on the agenda and would like to brief the body and the public as to her thoughts on the subject. So, Ms. Ndeba Madu.
Thank you so much, Acting Mayor. I'll start off by saying that the briefing, both the executive summary and the detailed report, are attached to the agenda. So if you are out there and want to follow along on this report, it is attached to the agenda. I don't think we're gonna. Are we going to put it on the projector? Okay. So it's attached to the agenda if anybody wants to follow along. But I'm just going to do a readout and then engage in discussion. Good evening, Acting Mayor, colleagues, staff, and members of our community. Tonight's presentation shares the findings of the TEDCO Independent Innovation Work Group, a regional effort focused on strengthening innovation and entrepreneurship across Prince George's County. As I prepared for this discussion, something became clear. Bowie is entering a new economic phase. For many years, our growth reflected stability, strong neighborhoods, excellent schools, and a community where families chose to build their lives. That foundation created one of the most desirable cities in our region. Today, a broader opportunity is emerging. Across Maryland and throughout the county, economic growth is increasingly driven by innovation ecosystems, environments where research, workforce development, technology infrastructure, and entrepreneurship move together as one system. The TEDCO Work Group represents the region organizing around that future. What is remarkable is that Bowie has already laid much of the groundwork through decisions this council and previous councils have made. Through our master plan, through investments in smart infrastructure, and through partnerships centered around education and workforce development. This moment, therefore, represents alignment. Regional strategy, local planning, and municipal innovation are moving in the same direction at the same time. Tonight, I will share the work group's finding and also highlight how Bowie stands prepared to help shape and host the next phase of Prince George's County's innovation economy. The purpose of tonight's presentation. This presentation shares the findings of the TEDCO Innovation Work Group established through House Bill 306 to advance innovation, entrepreneurship, and investment throughout Prince George's County. The work group focused on strengthening connections between industry, research institutions, investors, and local government. The goal is to create an economic environment where ideas developed in our region grow into companies, careers, and long-term prosperity within our communities. Why the work group was convened. Prince George's County holds extraordinary assets, nationally recognized research institutions, federal laboratories, entrepreneurship, energy, and a diverse, highly capable workforce. The work group identified an opportunity to bring these strengths into closer alignment so innovation activity flows more seamlessly from research to commercialization and job creation. The conversation therefore shifted from isolated initiatives towards building a coordinated innovation ecosystems. The core findings of the TEDCO work group. The work group organized its recommendations around 4 strategic pillars. Number 1, focusing on the emerging industry opportunities, supporting growth in advanced computing, advanced manufacturing, climate, and energy technology. Number 2, establish a bold innovation identity, strengthening regional visibility to attract talent and investment. Number 3, expand early-stage capital pathways, creating clearer pathways for entrepreneurs to access funding locally. And number 4, deepening private-public partnerships, connecting academia, government, and industry into a continuous pipeline. Together, these recommendations form an innovation cycle: discovery, entrepreneurship, investment, and ecosystem growth. I'm going to tell you why these findings matter for Bowie. Innovation economies ultimately grow in cities where people live, work, and collaborate. Bowie's long-range planning already reflects many of the conditions required for this type of economic evolution. The 2022 approved master plan established Bowie's visions through 2047 as a community where residents live, work, and stay within a diversified and resilient local economy. The plan organizes growth intentionally across several key areas: the Bowie State University Mark Campus Center, Collington Local Employment Area, focusing on advanced manufacturing and employment growth, Bowie Local Town Center, Talent Supporting Environment, and then the Smart Cities Framework, which is Bowie's operational advantage. Economic strategy succeeds through execution capacity. Bowie's Smart City Framework establishes policies that integrate artificial intelligence, data-driven governance, digital infrastructure modernization, and innovation partnerships. Technology becomes an enabling platform for efficient municipal services, workforce accessibility, and business attraction. This moment opens opportunities to attract innovation-focused employers, strengthen our workforce pathways connected to Bowie State University, support local entrepreneurship, expand long-term municipal revenue stability, and enhance Bowie's role within the regional ecosystem. The leadership opportunity for the city of Bowie. The timing of these efforts place Bowie in a distinctive position. Regional strategy, local planning, and municipal innovation capacity are advancing together. This alignment allows Bowie to help shape implementation across the county while continuing to strengthen outcomes for residents locally. The path forward. The next steps include align economic development initiatives with emerging industry clusters, deepening institutional partnerships, expanding workforce and credentialing pathways, integrating smart city investments with economic strategy, and engaging regional partners as implementation opportunities emerge. In closing, the TEDCO work groups offers a regional roadmap for innovation and entrepreneurships. Bowie's planning framework and governance investments position the city to bring that roadmap to life locally. This moment reflects continuity, preparation, and opportunity, which is a natural evolution in Bowie's economic story. Thank you. And for clarity, I represented the city in this independent work group for TEDCO, and this concludes the report of my findings. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. There we go. There, I can operate I apologize as I learn to operate my microphone. Any thoughts or questions? Hearing none. Well, thank you very much for your report this evening. Very much appreciate it. And then the next item on our agenda under new business is the Anacostia Trails Heritage Area, PGC 250. I will turn this over to staff for introduction, and then we'll have our presenter present for us.
Yes, thank you.
In the meantime, please come on down.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening we have the Executive Director of the Anacostia Trails Heritage Area, Megan Bacco. She's here to give us a presentation, and we have a PowerPoint as well. So, Megan, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Meg Bacco. I'm the Executive Director of Anacostia Trails Heritage Area. Each year, I try to either come in person or do a virtual sort of introduction or reintroduction of our organization. So thank you very much for having me tonight. I've got a brief PowerPoint here today. So again, it's an introduction/reintroduction. We've been around since the late 90s, and we actually did a relatively important planning study in order to bring Bowie into our the boundaries of our heritage area. And this is before I came onto the organization in 2015, 2016, 2017. So since then, we've been able to sort of strengthen our partnership, which I appreciate. We're a small 501c3 nonprofit. We work within a state program called the Maryland Heritage Areas Authority. There are 13 other heritage areas across the state. So when you talk to your colleagues, say, are you part of your heritage area, sort of in their region? And there's reasons that it's a benefit to be in a heritage area, which I'll touch on a little bit later. We have 2 full-time staff. We have 2 Maryland Service Corps members, which we've been really happy to have through the Department of Service and Civic Innovation. So there's a sort of a Maryland Service Corps modeled after AmeriCorps, which has really been great for us. And they're local from Prince George's County and Montgomery County to join us, which is great. We have special events. We do project partnerships, and I'll jump right in. Like I was saying, we are based in Prince George's County. Previously, our boundary was smaller than the entire county. We went through a planning process to allow us to sort of serve the county in a more comprehensive way. We can partner better with PG Parks, MNC PPC, and other organizations. So that's definitely something that we should all be proud of here in Prince George's. The focus of our work is something that I call community tourism. So it's really a mix of heritage tourism, cultural tourism, ecotourism, all the good things. All of the good things you want to do when you go on a trip, but then also the things you want to share when people come to visit. And this could be something as simple as taking a trip across a county line, a municipal line, and then also thinking bigger than that. So we know when people come to visit Prince George's County, they're going to have the opportunity to go to many different communities. They're not necessarily going to stay in one area. So I really want to focus on it being a sort of comprehensive strategy. And the key component is, in addition to bringing visitors, we try to leverage anything we put in to make a visitor's experience better, make sure it also benefits the community. And we try to keep those things in parity. Some examples of projects that we do, we've worked on a public history trail in the civil rights movement. We have 2 signs that were manufactured, and we're working with Susan Proctor to get those in the ground this spring. We also done public history work on women's suffrage and the War of 1812. Here's an example of the civil rights movement sign. There's 5. There's 2 in Laurel, 2 in Upper Marlboro, and we've got 2 more here that we're trying to get in the ground here in Bowie, and then there's also more online on a bilingual website. Something else we work on is trail connectivity. We don't manage the trails, even though our name is Anacostia Trails Heritage Area. We really focus on sort of broader things, but we do really focus on trail connectivity, and we've had wonderful site visits with your planning department and economic development department and Susan Proctor and others in Railroad Park. We also support public history. Something else I wanted to bring to your all's attention, my background also happens to be in historic preservation, and we have the ability to partner on capital projects. Prince George's County actually has a really relatively bigger, better, I don't want to use those phrases, but they have grant opportunities for historic properties, included being part of a heritage area, but also through the Planning Department and the Historic Preservation Commission, that puts us in a position that we can really leverage sort of public-private partnerships for property redevelopment. And that's just sort of an arm of our organization that we're working on strengthening. Although it's sort of always been a part of our work over the past 20 years, it's just something we're really focusing on. And we've had some successes with partnering on projects in Hyattsville for Pyramid Atlantic Arts Center. We're working on a 1790s house in Fort Washington. So anyway, just wanted to share that information. So one of the main reasons I wanted to talk to you all today is it's the U.S. semi-quincentennial. For over 18 months, my organization has been hosting monthly or more often public meetings related to how Prince George's is going to represent ourselves during this sort of momentous occasion. We've had a wonderful sort of small but growing group of people who've been interested, students, artists, teachers, historians, archaeologists, et cetera. And we've all been meeting under what we're calling pgc250.org. As you all know, Prince George's County is not 250 years old. You've already celebrated your 300th in 1996, and Maryland's 400 is coming up in 2034. So the cool thing is it's really brought, just like a lot of anniversaries, the opportunity, it's a reason to get together, which is just, you got to take advantage of that, especially as a regional organization like ours. So a really cool thing that the county is doing is the Passport to History. If you go to all the historic sites in Prince George's County, get a handful of stamps. You'll be entered into a trip to a National Trust for Historic Preservation travel opportunity. And then here in Bowie, with all your wonderful folks here, we've been working with the Bowie Branch Library, the Performing Arts Center, and we are putting on a block party here on May 30th. And it is going to have cultural performances, it's going to have arts and music and sing-alongs, and the Sankofa Mobile Museum truck from PG Parks and MNC PPC and some other just sort of really great day-long event. Or I'll go back, because that was exciting. Okay, so May 30th, it's sort of in that civic space in front of the library between the Performing Arts Center. We're working on finalizing the flyer, making sure the QR code works. When we have that, we'll make sure that you will have a good stack of that information. Lastly, sort of getting back to some nuts and bolts things, one of the things we provide is eligibility and serve as a liaison to state funding. This slide, sorry, I've been shopping this around. This is for Greenbelt, but I can tell you that City of Bowie, all nonprofits in Bowie, including the municipality, have access to state funding specifically for cultural tourism. So that's the Maryland Heritage Areas Authority grant that has previously gone to projects related to Railroad Park and other things like that. And then we have a smaller grant program called Rocket Grants, and very recently that went to help translate some materials at your all's museums. So this is an example of some of what we bring to the table in partnership. This is my last slide. So working together, in addition to being here and presenting to you all today, we have a committee on our nonprofit board of directors made up of representatives from all the municipalities in Prince George's County. We'd love to have somebody join us. It can be multiple folks if needed, especially if it's sort of a community volunteer. So that group is going to be sort of reformalizing after a couple years. Still, as a lot of nonprofits, you're still sort of trying to dig out of changes related to COVID and other things like that. So we are really reinvigorating this committee. So we'd love to just extend that opportunity, whether it's a city council person or a series of volunteers or city staff. And there's my contact information. If anything was of interest, if you want to follow up tonight, later, or share this presentation with other partners that it might be relevant to. And I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Beck. Appreciate you coming here this evening and sharing with us what's going on in the community. I'm particularly intrigued about the, and I guess my enthusiasm is building for the the semi-quincentennial this summer, 250. I know that 1776 to 1976 was a big to-do, and certainly this is another opportunity to celebrate. Are there any particular points of history in the county that we're going to focus on for the semi-quincentennial?
This is a great question. Thank you for it. We are taking the broadest view possible of what the semi-quincentennial means. So, there's one Revolutionary War battlefield in Maryland. Mm-hmm. I won't make you guess. Maybe you do. No. Mm-hmm. Oh. I won't put you on the spot, Mayor Pro Tem. Okay. It's St. George's Island, and it was a mild. It was sort of mild. It was a skirmish.
Skirmish.
Yeah. So, I think this anniversary is much different than the War of 1812 anniversary.
Yes.
Where there was just sort of, I don't want to say that there was a simplicity to it, but there was sort of a very strong density of places that people could visit. And I think what's happening with the 250 is not only are we intentionally taking a broad view of history and trying to be as inclusive as possible, it's really sort of hard to pinpoint a specific time period. Mm-hmm. So without saying we're doing it all, we're sort of doing it all. Yeah. Sort of thinking about time, both the contributions of Prince George's in the past, so it's sort of mixing that commemoration with celebration, but making sure there's sort of a mix of both. So, if that helps answer the question.
It does. Thank you much. All right, I'll turn to my colleagues and see if we have a question. Councilman Rogers.
Thank you. I really appreciated your presentation. Thank you very much, because this is information that I did not have readily available. So, question. So I see, and this has piqued my interest, I see that you provided in your slides example heritage area projects and programs in redevelopment of historic, looks like historic properties, and you have grants available. Now, have you done any of that in Bowie in the past? Can you tell me what you've done?
Sure, thank you for the great question. So being part of a heritage area often creates eligibility or extra points for state programs. So if you or your staff are familiar with applying for something from the Maryland Department of Planning or Maryland Department of Community and Housing Development, then a lot of times there'll be a checkbox that says, are you part of a heritage area? And you all can say that, it's a good thing. There are specific funds for municipalities and nonprofits in heritage areas. It's called the Maryland Heritage Areas Program. It happens each year, and there's about $5.1 million that's distributed across heritage areas across the state. Right now, in Prince George's County, we have 16 intent to apply submitted for this cycle, so that's fiscal 27. Fiscal 28 will reopen in December. We have received grants in the past from Bowie. I think the most recent one was, and I won't remember the amount off the top of my head, it was used for renovations for the Railroad Museum and Railroad Park. I think there was a viewing platform that was going to be created. You know, sometimes it's hard to see over the chain link fence. So if you think about projects related to either parks, like I said, residents or visitors would be interested in, usually tend to be the most competitive. Those grants are up to $100,000 for capital projects. In terms of property redevelopment, not only is that possible, but me and my staff were familiar with some of the other capital investment programs, and we're starting to enter more public-private partnerships to take advantage of a lot of the other programs that maybe it makes sense for a private property owner, but then sometimes it makes sense for a nonprofit to apply for things and really work together to maximize and leverage as many programs as we can. We've had some success with that at Pyramid Atlantic Arts Center in Hyattsville, and we're also working on a redevelopment project of a home in Fort Washington that will soon become, or adaptively be reused as a community center in Fort Washington.
Okay, great.
I have toured Williams Plains House at this point a couple years ago, and I remember that just sort of coming up a couple times. I'd be happy to revisit that property. Of course, you might have others in mind.
Actually, I was thinking of that one.
Okay.
But okay, great.
Yeah.
All right.
So I've had a couple conversations and did one site visit with Susan Proctor a couple years ago. Happy to revisit it. All of these projects, like many things, take a long time. So it's just like, I'm still here, and if the building's still there, I'm happy to chat about it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Acting Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody else, thoughts or questions? Here, unable to see the folks online. Councilman Brady, do you have any thoughts or questions?
No, I don't. Thank you, though.
Excellent. And Mr. Truesdale, Councilman Truesdale?
Yes. Thank you, Acting Mayor. Just a quick question. Thank you for your presentation. I don't have to ask how excited you are about the work you do. I hear it in your passion. Just for those who may not be familiar with the Anacostia Trail Heritage Area, in the short, what is the mission in your own words? And I know you probably have went over that in the slide early on, but just for
No, I appreciate
just for record.
I appreciate the opportunity to restate it. Our mission statement is to preserve and promote. I think those two are equally as important. The historical, cultural, artistic, and natural resources of Prince George's County, which you then might say, that's a lot. And really, where we focus is where there's a density of those places, and there's sort of the overlap of resident usage and an opportunity to bring visitors in as well. So sort of all of those things need to overlap, where we usually find sweet spots for our projects. But otherwise, as a community-facing organization, really, we try to be as visible as possible and responsive as possible to our municipal and nonprofit partners. So really, the best thing is to go to anacostiatrails.org. And then also for our work, this year in particular, it's pgc250.org related to the semi-quincentennial. Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mr. Mayor, Acting Mayor.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much, Mr. Truesdale. All right, well, thank you. Actually, I do have one quick follow-up question for you. Just in terms of if you're looking for something to do semi-quincentennial-wise, maybe something at the Bel Air Mansion, because I do know that the Ogles were supporters of the revolution, if memory serves me. I can't remember which one. Forgive me my loss of the names, but I do know that they were. I don't know if George Washington ever visited or something like. But I think they were somehow involved in the colonial effort as part of the Patriot movement. Maybe there's something that you could wend in with there. Maybe Susan, if you reach out with her, she can. I'm sure she can inform you to the littlest detail as to what was going on here in 1776.
It's a good reminder to be a tourist to your own backyard, go back to the Historic House Museum, even
Yes.
if you've been before, and
absolutely.
see it anew this year. So thank you for that tip.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate it. All righty. Thank you, colleagues. Councilman Estev, I see you have something of interest that you would like to raise to everybody's attention.
I would like to
Hopefully it
raise
will-
a motion to adjourn.
Well, I think that will probably be heard favorably. Is there a second?
Second.
Well, now we have a motion and a proper second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good night.